Hello and welcome to the Wannabe Inklings Podcast. So this will be kind of a pre-episode leading up into the first season, in which we will be covering the topic of tulip. Today we will be kind of talking about where we got the name for our podcast from, the Inklings. And to do that, we will hand it over to our wannabe historian, Mr. David.
Mr. David. Wow.
Professor David, excuse me.
That's
Except
yeah.
you don't have a degree.
That's true. That's what I was about to say actually, because that really fits really well that this is the Wannabe Inklings, so that I can be the wannabe historian because I have gone to college for many years, majoring in history and education, and do not have a degree to show for it. I do have an associate's degree, and so I am an associate of something. Which is also, associate is also what they call the people that work at Walmart. So, I'm on that level. So
you're here to help.
I'm here to help. So the name, the Wannabe Inklings, obviously was inspired by a group called the Inklings, and that group was a group of mainly professors, intellectuals, writers. In and around Oxford University in England during the 1930s and 40s, right? So that's primarily when this group meets. And really what they were a group of men who were joined together as friends and as colleagues and associates. There we go, associates. And they had a... Say what?
That's you.
That's me. So they were joined together in their common love for and appreciation of literature and primarily, honestly, fiction and fantasy fiction. And so you have members of the group, most notably people like C.S. Lewis, J.R.R. Tolkien, G.K. Chesterton, and those are really the three main people that most people will know. There are several others, probably like 20-something more other people. Some of them never published anything at all, but they wrote. And that group would come together. They would share writings together. Some of the stuff that, if you're a fan of like The Hobbit, and really J.R.R. Tolkien's work, the Lord of the Rings, if you've ever attempted to take a crack at the Silmarillion and basically his legendarium, J.R.R. Tolkien's whole universe that he created, a lot of the myth and the deep history of all of that comes from his discussions with that group of friends. They influenced each other a lot. And so that's kind of one of the things that we're going to do is kind of each of us sort of say, what does this group, us coming together and doing a podcast, what does that really mean? And so really, by way of me explaining that's really what this is like. We are all joined together as friends who are coming together to discuss things that we feel deeply about and that we treasure and that we want to just sort of flesh out together, and we learn from each other and we learn together as well. And so that's really what that's what this group is, I think, but that's also particularly what it means to me. We three in particular, Dustin, Nicholas, and I, began sort of referring to ourselves as the Wannabe Inklings actually a long time ago, and because we are all glorious Apple/iPhone users, we can title our group message that, and so we did that a long time ago, and so that's what we've kind of referred to ourselves, is because we're not scholars, we're not writers or professionals. Brothers, we are not professionals. Dustin likes to remind me, but we are people who care, and we have the capacity to learn, and these things that we are talking about and will continue to talk about even if we stop doing this podcast after one season, if we keep on for years, we're going to keep talking about these things because they matter and because we care about And so that's kind of where the name comes from. We don't think that we're necessarily the next Lewis or Tolkien. We might be, you know. I dabble in writing a little bit. None of it's seen the light of day thus far, really. Nicholas has read a little bit a long time ago, but that's kind of what this is. We're the wannabes.
Yeah. All right. I think that summed it up pretty good. Does anybody else have anything they would like to add? No? Alright. Well, there you go. Thank you, Mr. Wannabe Historian. Appreciate your capability in explaining all that. So yes, if you listen to this, thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the Tulip episodes. Goodbye.